All right, all right. Deadman Stone Podcast. Your host, Mr. Deadman. And joining us here tonight is the one and only Shadrick Beechem.
Yes.
How's it going, Shadrick?
It's going pretty good. How about you?
Hey, I'm doing okay. I'm doing A-O-fucking-K. All right, so one quick announcement. Actually, I guess two. One, Ancient Ones 2 is out now. It's pretty much like Ancient Ones, the Ancient Ones 1, the original, but just even more, more stories added to it. I guess continuation of it. But it's a Lovecraft, Cthulhu, all put together. I mean, it's great. It's a great package. Amazon, your Kindle. You can also get paperback. Easy. The other thing is Shitfest, Deadman Stone Shitfest. You can't forget that. A great way to start your shitty fucking day. Look at that. Look at that pitch. All right. That's all the shilling I'm going to do. Shadrick, you have anything you want to shill right now since Ma just, doing it already?
Not off the top of my head. I can't think of anything.
Okay. Well, if you do, don't worry. You'll have plenty of opportunity.
Sweet.
All right, Shadrick. Well, man, how's it going? How are you doing?
I'm doing great. It's Friday night. Kicking back after a long week.
All right, man. Friday night, kicking back. Trying to, make the most of it, right?
Yep. Yeah, it's actually the first weekend I have off in a while, so I'm just trying to enjoy it.
Yeah. Must be hard. So I take it you work and you write. But you do more than that, though, right?
Yeah, I mean, I do all kinds of stuff here and there, I guess. Yeah.
All right.
I have like a real job, quotation marks, and then on the side, I supplement my income doing my music and stuff, and I also like write horror and stuff on the side, and occasionally make a little bit of money with that. And my mind's always going, so I'm always either like writing music or writing something whenever I'm not working.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, I think that speaks for a lot of us too. When you have to balance that real job, have to balance that with your hobbies and try to make, like you said, the most of it. You have to try to balance that.
Mm-hmm.
And you sound like someone who has a lot of skill. And I know, man. Like, I think I published 2 of your stories.
Yep. Yeah, I believe so. And, what was it? Real American Horror and the Christmas special, Cthulhu Christmas special.
Oh, yeah. Real American Horror was the first time. In that issue, that was something. That was pretty fun to put together. So what do you think about that? What was your experience like with that?
With writing the story, or with publishing with you, or?
Well, let's start with writing the story. Let's talk about you first. Come on, let's focus on that.
Okay. So what was it? Atonement, I believe it was called.
Yes, Atonement. That story. That's one of the ones that stuck. They all stuck in my mind. But they all kind of left a mark. But that one was pretty unique.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, it's the story itself, this guy has a kid, a child who gets ran over by, I guess you could say like a drunk driver, and he ends up, getting his revenge. And the way I kind of thought about that, you always see horrible, horrible shit in the news, these parents or something that lock their kids in a basement. Mm-hmm. And do something just crazy shit like that. Or what was it recently? There was that Olympic doctor who got put on trial, and he had molested countless numbers of girls. And the father of one of those girls was in the courtroom, and he asked the judge. He was like, "Give me 10 minutes alone in a room with this guy," kind of thing,
Mm-hmm.
And so that story kind of explores upon, what if you got the chance to, actually exact revenge on someone who hurt your family. That was kind of where I was going with it. And, I had to insert the kind of religious motive in there because, where I'm from in rural Missouri, we have a lot of evangelical types, I guess you would say. And I totally respect Christianity and everything. I'm not trying to shit on any kind of religious belief, but you know, sometimes those beliefs can be taken out of hand.
Oh yeah, they can be. They can be. Don't worry. I mean, you've seen. You are aware of what Deadman's Tome published before, right?
Right. No.
The Jesus issue.
Right.
I will say.
I'm not worried about it.
Any flack that comes your way, anyone who wants to give you any sort of flack, they just need to direct that to me, and I will be the lightning rod for that for that stuff. Okay. Look.
Okay. All right.
Damn straight. Okay.
But yeah, so I kind of took those two concepts, you know, like I'm sure everyone out there would just, you know, if another human being did something terrible to one of their loved ones, you know, I mean, we're all generally good people, but you know, I just feel like we kind of have that inner animal, you know, like.
Oh hell yeah, man!
So that's kind of where I went with atonement, you know, like what if you had that opportunity, and let's say, you know, like the main character, his name's Warren, you know, I'm an alcoholic, and he had like one of those fever dreams, like I looked up like delirium tremens and how realistic they can be, you know, and imagine just like having like a strong belief and then having a strong hallucination like that, you know, and
sounds like my day.
Right. Yeah, definitely. And yeah, you know, just kind of exploring those concepts, I guess. And I was also slightly inspired by a kind of a true crime thing that happened. It wasn't in my part of the state, but it was another part of the state where a guy had kidnapped this girl and tortured her for a couple days before he basically killed her. And you know, it's just kind of like it could happen in your own backyard kind of thing, you know.
Oh yeah, man, that sort of thing, like kidnapping people and torturing them, killing them in their garage, in their basement, in their attic. I'll tell you something, man. I'll tell you what, that happens more often than you think. It's not to put fear in your heart, man, but not to make you think crazy, but if you live in a neighborhood, in a subdivision, it's probably happened somewhere there, maybe. Depends on what neighborhood you're in.
I definitely, I mean, I guess you could say I'm kind of pessimistic when it comes to like the human race, you know, and I definitely wouldn't put it past anyone, you know, like I'd try and be positive, but that's where 90% of like the horror in my stories comes from. It's like how terrible we can be to each other.
Oh yeah, and I love reading stories about that resonating on that, or I guess thriving or fueling off of the evil that we can be. You know, stories about monsters, like fictitious things. That's okay. That's fun in its own right. Like Bigfoot or Cthulhu and all that stuff. That's fun in its own right. But the evil that men can do to one another.
And like Jack Ketchum, the recently deceased Jack Ketchum. I was a really big fan of his just because almost all of his horror was about what people do to other people, you know, like there was almost no like supernatural elements to his story. It was almost all just how terrible humankind can be, you know, and I really loved his stories. That's kind of where, like, whenever I started first writing, that's kind of where I went, you know. I do write occasionally like some supernatural stuff, you know, monsters, Cthulhu and all that, but that's kind of like my biggest theme, I guess, is like humans can be the real monsters sort of thing.
And you know what? I think that has a more lasting effect. To me, it does.
Right.
You know? I was the sort of person growing up, when I would read a story about monsters, yeah, they're fun. I mean, if the monster stood out, you know, I would identify with it. Maybe something like Frankenstein or whatever, or like a iconic vampire. But stories of what, like, everyday people could do, like, let's say American Psycho, one of my favorite stories. You know, Bret Easton Ellis is not a horror writer, but he's a pretty damn fucking good writer. So, you know, American Psycho, we're reading all the stuff that Patrick Bateman did. It's like, now when I see a yuppie, I'm like, okay, is there another layer to you?
Yeah,
you worried?
Exactly.
So that's how it sticks. That's why I think like horror based on like real events or things that could actually happen. That's why I think it has that lasting power. I don't know. What do you think?
Oh, definitely. Like, I don't know if you read much Cormac McCarthy. He's also a writer who isn't considered horror, but like Blood Meridian, which is supposed to be like one of his most famous novels, man. Man, that one like literally gave me nightmares. Like it was a horror western, and just the imagery he kind of conjures up with that about like these people out in the desert, you know, and you have like this imagery of like wild Indians like hanging up skinned babies to dry like jerky and just shit like that, and you're like, holy fuck, you know, and you know, it's just much more visceral that way. Like knowing that can happen, you know, that's much more anchored in reality, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, and described like that, just matter of fact, you know, just have the tone be, this is what it is. Present to you this imagery of like babies hung off on a tree, drying like bacon. Oh, just crazy.
Yeah, and like with Cormac McCarthy, his style, you know, he like dedicated a whole page to the vivid detail of just that one scene, and you know, he just paints these horrible pictures in your head. And it's funny because Cormac McCarthy, he's like this literary novelist, you know, and people don't think of him as a horror writer at all.
Yeah.
But like that was one of the most horrifying novels I've ever read, and so it's just.
You know what I noticed too? To me, this seems like another way for someone to sell themselves. I guess make a career, write as a, you know, make a career out of it. You don't just sell yourself as a horror writer, but you are a writer. You use elements of horror in your writing, but maybe go beyond just horror. You know, just have it become something different.
Right, and I think that's good, like, you know, because whenever you tell someone that you write horror, there's kind of like a stigma to it, you know, because they think of, you know, like splatter punk or gore punk or just stuff that's like straight up, you know, bloodfest, and there's a lot more to horror than that, and horror can transcend into like, you know, supernatural thriller or drama or anything like that, you know, and it's good, like, as a writer to just kind of have an open-minded repertoire, I guess.
Yeah. Keep it open-minded.
Yep.
So, have you found any of that, like, difficulty in your writing? I mean, well, pitching your writing. I don't know if you had any like difficulty pitching your stories or anything. I mean, have you found that? Have you ran into that?
Occasionally, but like, so usually when I write my stories, I do a lot of like themed anthologies, you know, like submission calls for things. So if I write a story, it'll be for that specific anthology. So like when I'm crafting like a cover letter or something, you know, they kind of already expect that. But if it's like a general submission call, like if I'm just writing to a magazine that's not specifically like a horror magazine, I kind of try and word it a bit more open-mindedly, you know, and I might be like, okay, well, this is more like dark speculative fiction. This isn't horror kind of thing, you know? And I don't know, I'm still very much green behind the ears whenever it comes to like pitching my stories and stuff. Most of my cover letters are like boilerplate, like, dear editors, I am so-and-so, and I hope you enjoy the story I submit to you kind of thing. You know, I haven't actually like talked to an agent or something and tried to explain my writing style or anything.
I mean, if you talk to an agent, they're probably going to give you some good advice. The only thing I can tell you from my experience is those cover letters, like the body of the email. I just read what the story's called, and if you had any prior work.
Right.
You know what I would say? A little blurb to kind of tell me what the story is about, kind of ease me into it. I will say that does seem to have an effect. Like, that already kind of puts me in the frame of mind for your story, what to expect when I read it. So I'm not like trying to figure out what am I reading here? Is this supposed to be a joke? What's going on here? You know?
Right.
But but I found it easy now just doing themed anthologies. That way I kind of know everyone kind of every submission received for a particular anthology kind of already has that angle. Oh, what is this gonna be? Is this like this? So that helps.
Right. But it's kind of where. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, it's all right, man. You go ahead.
I was just saying. That's kind of like why I like writing the anthologies. You know, just because they give me the angle, so I don't have to kind of like explain myself from some random thing. You kind of already know what it's about, sort of thing. And so it makes it easier for the editor and the writer to just be like, okay, well, this kind of falls in line with the theme of the story. Here's, you know, like my elevator pitch to you, my one sentence about what the story's about. And you can see if it kind of falls in line, you know, and then you read it and see if it kind of follows a general trend. But I also don't want to get too comfortable doing that. You know, if I ever want to like branch out and just like write my own things, you know, that aren't themed. So
Okay, gotcha.
that's something I'm working on.
Gotcha. And let's see, how long have you been writing?
About 2.5 years, like writing seriously, I guess. Yeah, about 2.5 years.
2.5 years? And how many stories have you written?
Well, I've like written about 40 short stories,
Damn.
4 novellas, and 1 novel. But the novel was like the first thing I ever.
In 2 years?
Yeah,
Okay.
it was I know that sounds like a lot, but yeah, I guess whenever I just kind of put my mind to it, you know, things I say I've been writing for 2.5 years, but I guess I've been thinking about being a writer for like the past 4 years.
Okay.
So I had all the ideas just kind of built up, you know, and yeah.
Okay, so 2 years, you built up a catalog for yourself, but how much of this has seen the light of day?
A very small percentage. Like, yeah, I got those 2 stories published by you. I've had 3 stories that have been published under a pseudonym, and then 1 story that was, I want to say it was published, but it was more like it was just kind of featured on an Australian blog, Dead Words Collective. That was actually one of my first publications. But
are they?
It's funny.
Sorry, the stories under a pseudonym.
Mm-hmm.
Are they erotica?
No.
Okay. I have to throw that out there. Just gotta ask that question.
I will admit, though. And I guess I was trying to keep this on the rug, but I have submitted to a few like erotica anthologies just to give it a shot, you know, because
did he get paid?
I don't know. I know. Yes, that was. I'm not gonna lie. That was kind of the big drawing point, you know, because all the authors I talk to, they're like, man, if you want to make money, you got to write like erotica, like smut, you know.
Oh
like,
yeah, you do.
Where the money's at, and there was like a period of like 1 to 2 months where I was kind of rough on money. Like I had a lot of payments I had to make, and I wasn't getting much studio work, so I had like a lot of time on my hands, and I saw a few submission calls, and so I kind of gave it a shot, you know, and I submitted to 3 of them.
Man.
1 of them got rejected, and the other 2 got published, and I made about $300, you know, for like 3 hours worth of work. I literally just kind of
$300 for 3 hours worth of work.
Yeah, it was so like when I wrote the erotica stuff, I was kind of drunk, you know. I was kind of like, man, I kind of don't want to do this.
This sounds even better.
Yeah, it was sort of one of them was like a vampire-themed erotica thing, and it was really corny. Like, I felt really just kind of cheesy writing it, you know, and I kind of just got it out of my system, proofread it, read it over again, and sent it off to them. You know, they sent it back for rewrites, whatever, but yeah, I didn't spend as much time on those just because I was like, man, I can't believe I'm doing this. Not to diss any erotica writers out there. That's like a serious thing, you know. I respect all people who write in that. It's just for me, I just kind of felt weird writing it. You know, it's not really my style. And but yeah, it was cool that it was kind of something I just jumped into, and I managed to get a couple of stories published. You know, and I was able to pay my rent that month doing that. So that was pretty cool.
Whoa, man, there's so much to unpack there. First of all, I am relishing. I am enjoying the fact that you say it with like this almost like kind of, I don't want to say regret, but more like you're not too proud of it. Kind of like a little bit of shame. That's what I'm looking for. A little bit of shame. Yeah, like it's almost like you're Breaking Bad. Like you did some stuff in the past. You're not. It almost sounds like you did gay porn, and like we just found out about it or something.
Right. Well, and like I said, again, to repeat, I don't want to shit on anyone who like seriously is a serious erotica writer. It's just
I'm not doing that either. I'm not doing that either. I'll tell you why too, because I might do that on the side as well.
Man, hey man, more power to you if you do.
Trust me, I know what you're talking about in some way. But, wow. You paid your bills, though.
Yeah.
You know what? You paid your bills, and you made a mark on people.
Yeah.
You got people off.
Yeah, that was the thing, like, submitting it. I was like, man, how many weird motherfuckers are going to be jacking off to the stuff I wrote kind of thing. You know, it was just, stuff like that I had to think about. You know, I've never had to think about that when writing a story. It was definitely a unique experience.
Yeah. You're probably like, wait, are these dudes reading this or chicks? I think they're dudes.
Right. It's, I honestly have no idea, because, I mean, the way I wrote it, it wasn't really meant for one genre or one gender or the other kind of thing, you know. It was graphic. Yeah. That's all I can really say about it. So
yeah. That's okay. But you go from that, so that's the stuff you're not too proud of. It happens, though. It pays the bills. You have to do a little hustle. I totally get it.
Right.
I totally get it. And for writers out there, any writer that wants to judge on that, yeah, let me ask you, man. You got to do a little hustle. I was going to ask you something. Oh, what are you willing to do? I mean, you want to raise money to pay the bills, but your horror books aren't selling. Maybe change it up a bit. I don't know. It doesn't have to be a rock. There's other genres right now that are like doing really well right now. I noticed that RPG lit, game lit, and I think a few others kind of niche things are sparking up. So I don't know. Get in on that. Anyway, so you talked about a Tome earlier, and I said it's one of the stories, like all the stories left a mark, but it left a mark in a unique way because it's the little things for me when stories. And this one was the sort of torture the guy did to the guy who killed his daughter. You know, he has him in his barn or whatever, and he's like spitting nasty loogies in the freaking dog water. You know, make him drink that. That was...
Right.
That... You know, I know we had the Deadman Tome shit fest, or shit show issue, but that description, that made me almost lose my lunch.
Yeah, I felt a little like sick writing it, you know, because the way I tried to come up with the scenes was, what would be the grossest thing I could think of to do to myself, you know? So like, I have a hard time drinking water anyways because it's unflavored, and I have this weird mental thing where like I feel like I can taste like the lead or something in the water, and I have to like chug it down really quick. So I just imagined like seeing like a nice coagulated loogie.
You live in Flint?
No, but we do have a bad lead problem in Missouri. A couple of because all of our
shit.
We actually have we were like the lead belt for a while. Like we were like the nation's leading lead industry, and so we have like a bunch of lead mines and stuff that contaminate our water. So we're not as bad as Flint, but we're getting there. But
the water from your faucet, is it clear or is it yellow?
It's clear for the most part. But a few friends of mine who live down the street, they did like there's some kind of test you can do with your water.
Yeah.
And they had like some certain parts per million, and it was like exceeding that in the lead content. But it's not bad where we're at. We live next to a college, so I guess we're like, they take better care of the water over there because it's like young, achieving students. They don't want them to get lead poisoning. But,
no, they don't need them to get lead poisoning while they're in class and they're paying tuition one way or the other, either through government loans and all that stuff.
But anyway, I was digressing there. You know,
that happens.
That was one of the...
is. One big digression. That's what it should be called.
Right. But yeah, just scenes like that, you know, like things I would hate to have happen to me in general. So that's kind of where I got a lot of the
that's pretty creative. That's pretty smart. You know, you think about the worst things that could happen to you in a torture scenario. What would it be? This thing. You know, most people, it seems like very easy to go for the graphic, go for like hammering them with a hammer or nails or slowly cutting into them. But you're like, the torture was more like tormenting him, like in the beginning, like things like that, just fucking with him, just making it miserable, extremely miserable. But yeah. But what was the research like doing that story? Because you said it was based off of a real event. You said that earlier, when, you know, in our exchange when I published it. So what was your research like with that?
So like the story, the actual event itself, I didn't research too much. I kind of just saw like the headline, and that just kind of sparked something in my brain, you know. I was like, I could turn that into something, you know. And I was like, okay, this happened in Missouri. So like, I kind of tried to think about what everyone thinks about when they think of Missouri, which is like cornfields and rednecks.
Yeah.
And Jesus, you know. So that's where a lot of
Makes
that
sense.
imagery comes from. And like the guy who got convicted for this kind of thing, he just kind of looked like your typical like backwoods Missourian feller.
Yep. Yeah.
Scraggly bearded kind of guy.
That he did.
You know. Like, have you ever seen Deliverance? We have a lot of people like that around here. And
do,
so,
huh?
you know, just someone like that. Someone, like a humble person who, like... So, interestingly enough, the novel I first wrote was actually that. Like, the whole atonement thing was actually, like, I turned that into a whole book. But it was the first thing I ever wrote, you know, so it really wasn't that good. There was a lot of, like, run-on passages and just shit like that, you know, that you're, you know, your first-time writer gets, you know, just a lot of dumb stuff. And
Yeah,
so whenever
that
I saw
happens.
your,
It's going to happen.
And so whenever I saw your submission call, you know, I thought about that. I was like, I think I could condense this down into a short story, because I tried to turn it like the town that the story takes place in, Bucks Point. I've written a lot of stories that take place in Bucks Point. I'm kind of like trying to turn that into like my own little like Derry, Maine, you know, with Stephen King, how he does his. I'm trying to turn Missouri into the next Maine, I guess, with my stories kind of deal. And Bucks
I could
Point,
totally see it. You could totally do that easily.
And so
Ooh.
I kind of took that out for this story and just focused on the characters instead of the
That is
town
pretty
itself.
cool. I like that. I like that a lot.
And so hopefully, so I have Atonement. That's one of the stories that take place in that universe. And actually just got a story published by Darkwater Syndicate, and that's under a pseudonym, so I can't really say which story it is. It hasn't come out yet, but that also takes place in Bucks Point. And I'm just trying to build up the universe, because whenever I was like reading Stephen King, that was my favorite thing about Stephen King. You know, anytime I pick up a Stephen King novel, I feel at home, because it takes place. Not all of his stories take place in Maine, but you know, his like main catalog is all, you know, Derry, Castle Rock, you know. And anytime I pick up a Stephen King book, I just immediately feel at home, because it's about one of those communities. And that's what I'm eventually going to try and do with my stories, you know, is create that kind of universe where people automatically identify and all the stories kind of tie in. You know, I love just reading a story and then seeing like Easter egg or something that refers to another story, and I think that's so cool. And I just love whenever writers do that. Like Laird Barron, he's one of my favorite weird fiction writers. He does a lot of that with his short stories. And so yeah, I guess Atonement was kind of the launching point for that. So
well, that's really cool. I like that you do that, and I think, you know, you could look at many authors, different authors, and you can find examples of that. Like Lovecraft, he wrote like Rhode Island was a problem. You know, Rhode Island was a focus point. Like, out of all the places, Cthulhu focused there. Though I think a few of his stories, I think with Call of Cthulhu was like, there was like some swamps. Wasn't it like down south or something? I don't know.
Yeah, I tried to, because like whenever I wrote for the Cthulhu Christmas special, I tried to research some of the mythos.
Yeah.
And because I mean, that was actually one of my first horror authors I ever read was Lovecraft, like back when I was like 13, 14. But a lot of it I didn't really understand, you know, because he uses that really archaic language, and so I knew it scared the shit out of me, even if I didn't really know what was going on.
The language was creepy. The language alone was creepy.
Yeah, definitely. And but yeah, I know, what was it, like Arkham or Arkham? That was like one of his big cities, and I think that was like
Arkham.
Around Rhode Island or Massachusetts, somewhere around there. It was like a coastal city, and that was definitely my first exposure to like one of those just fictional universes. You know, like, you know where he's talking about, somewhere up north, like a coastal village, and he just injects his own like creepiness to it. You know, like what are these weird, like what is it, Dagon? That's the story. That's like one of the Cthulhu mythos stories.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. And it took place in that small village. You know, the people like worship the, I guess Dagon's like the demigod or one of the demigods of Cthulhu. And he just kind of, the way he ties into all that greater, like I didn't even realize that when I was first reading them, you know, that these all kind of tied into this big universe. And it wasn't until years later down the road when I started reading again seriously, and I was like, holy shit. this all ties together, you know.
It all ties together, and you see that a lot. You know, not just Lovecraft, but like you said, Stephen King, and you see it in other mediums like comics, Marvel comics. They all take place in the same universe. You make it work, and it's about. It almost seems like marketing, branding, make it all connect. You know. Wow, that's cool. I like that. Now you mentioned Cthulhu Christmas Special.
Yeah.
And your Lovecraft story there. Well, I mean, I guess you already said that, like with your inspiration on your research for that story. You know. But. Well, actually, one thing I want to ask you though, what was your experience with that, especially compared to the real American horror? Like,
man, it was totally different. I will say that, because like I've never written to a mythos before, or like I wouldn't call it fan fiction, but you know, just like writing to that kind of a theme that already exists. You know, I've never ever done that before, and it felt really cool, like using these tools that Lovecraft gave us and like making my own story out of it. You know, like I just it was totally different. You know, it like took place out in the middle of the ocean. Like Point Nemo was what I used, like in Lovecraft, Riley or whatever, however the hell you pronounce it.
Your guess is as good as mine. That sounded pretty good.
Yeah, that's supposed to be
Tome. Yeah,
something like that. All those locations sound like you just literally like slammed your hand on the keyboard and that's what came out, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you know, I thought that was cool. You know, that Point Nemo, which is like supposed to be the farthest point from any landmass, that's supposed to be like Cthulhu's home origin, I guess. And I just thought about like cruise ships and like how corny cruise ships are. It's like a bunch of old people and people just getting drunk, you know, and kind of taking a modern spin on the creepy nauticalness of Cthulhu sort of thing. And it was a really fun story for me. It was totally just way different than anything I've ever written, you know, like it was totally just out there, the concept, the story itself, and writing about a cruise ship. I didn't think I'd ever find an excuse to do that. So
hey, you did more research. I mean, and it paid. It paid,
yeah,
because
definitely.
it definitely came off like that. The way you told that story, it was in the perspective of multiple characters. It kind of, you get their perception of the event that's happening, what they see, what's going on. You know, they're to have a good time, they're to do this or that, and you know, they see like this landmass, but it's not a landmass.
See, that was because, you know, in all the stories, Cthulhu is supposed to be like massive, like this humongous creature. And I didn't really know of a way to like give perspective as to how big it could be. So I was like, what if it was so like fucking big that you actually just thought it was an island, but it's not. It's a creature. You know, like that's how
gotcha.
massive. That's kind of why I use that analogy, I guess. Like,
hey man,
because I really wanted.
That makes sense. It works.
Yeah, because I didn't just want to say, oh, this really big creature. You know, I want to be like, it was so big you actually thought it was like an island. That has to be fucking huge. You know, like you wouldn't do that with like a whale or something. You know, if you see something out there, you clearly tell it's an animal. So I guess that's why I did that. You know, because I needed some way to like give it relative size to the ship, I guess. And yeah.
Well, you definitely made it work. It definitely put perspective there. I felt that. All right, so, well, besides these two stories, what else have you written? What else is going on? Or at least that was published.
Right. So I talked the Darkwater Syndicate one. That was under a pseudonym. So I won't talk about that one much. I will talk about the first story I ever got published, and that was under Gehenna and Hinnom. They're like actually a pretty big magazine now, but the first ever submission call that I did was for a body horror anthology. And so like, you know, David Cronenberg, the director?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's kind of what they used for like the inspiration. And so I watched a shitload of David Cronenberg movies before I wrote the story, which is called Devil's Tears. And it's about this drug. One of my big things is like conspiracy theories. You know, I'm big on like MK Ultra and stuff like that. And
oh yeah.
So like I was like, you know, they did like the drug control programs and stuff where they like slip acid in people's drinks, you know, and try to get mind control. So
yeah, I heard about that. Yeah, yeah.
So I was like, what if they tried to make their own drug that was super potent as like a truth serum, you know, to like try and get people to confess, but they, you know, maybe made the drug way too strong and it caused people to go crazy, you know. And so the story I wrote for that anthology, it's pretty gory, you know, it's a body horror anthology, so I got pretty bloody with it. But yeah, this it's set out in Nevada, which is definitely way different than I normally do. But for some reason, I was just thinking like the desert when I wrote this. I don't know why, but
I'm getting it. It's all deserted. It's out there. You feel the. I mean, I would think that would be a pretty lonely place to be if anything were to happen.
Right.
It's.
And like I guess because you know, like Breaking Bad, this story has to do with drugs, and I guess I kind of just made that crossover. I guess I just pictured it in the desert. But anyway, so yeah, the CIA develops this drug, and the way you have to administer it is in your eye. It's like eye drops, and the way they did it, they did like trial runs, and every single person like lost their mind. They like it was such an intense hallucinogenic effect that they ended up like mutilating themselves. Like you know how like with meth and stuff, people hallucinate like bugs on themselves and shit. And so it was kind of like that. And so this drug dealer
was freaking out, twerking out, just cutting into their skin, tearing away. All right.
Right. And so this guy, he has like they ended up banning the drug, and you know, one thing I found out that I also use in the story is like the CIA and stuff. You know, they do these huge drug busts and everything, and they actually have these like massive facilities where they put all these drugs, and they just sit there for years and years and years. There's hundreds of pounds of weed, cocaine, meth just sitting out in the middle of these facilities.
Oh yeah, I believe that 100%. I believe that 100%. I know that.
Yeah,
I know that happens.
So there's the way I kind of use the launching point is this guy. He knows a security guard that works in one of these facilities, and he's like, man, we just got this new shipment of drugs in that they can't use anymore. I've heard some crazy stuff about it. You should try and see if I give you like a few pounds of it, if you can turn profit. And so the way he administers it, like the CIA didn't figure out, if you put a shitload in, they're, you know, 3 or 4 big drops, that's what makes them go crazy. But this guy figured out if you use like a super tiny microscopic amount, then it's actually like a really pleasurable high, and you make a lot of money off of it because you barely have to take any to you know, get high off of it. So he starts trying to sell to people, and he's trying to explain to them, you know, you only have to take this itty bitty tiny bit, and you're going to be fucking blasted for hours. But do not, under any circumstances, take any more than that because you will go crazy. And you know, he's selling to drug people, you know, addicts and shit. And he gave it the nickname Devil's Tears, which is the name of the story because whenever you put it into your eye, it's actually like a purple fluid, and it kind of turns your eyes purple, and it just kind of makes you look like a crazy freak. So he decided to call it Devil's Tears. And it
sounds kind of like Flocka. Have you heard of Flocka?
Yeah, those just those kind of like street drugs, like the weird drugs.
Yeah.
That's where I got the inspiration from that, you know.
Oh my god! And for those who don't know what Flocka is, if there was ever a drug that could turn you into a zombie, that's pretty much it. When you see people, okay, look up Flocka. Anyone who's watching this, look up Flocka on YouTube, and all you have to do is watch the videos, and you will understand 100% what's going on here. But yeah, sorry, it just made me think of Flocka.
No, it was I remember watching. It was like a YouTube video, and it was like this zombie craze because this dude was like on the side of the fucking road, like eating pieces of his face. And like I think PCP does that too. Like if you smoke too much PCP, you'll like not feel pain. And there's been instances of people just like, you know, taking chunks of skin off themselves because
man. When they get high on the angel dust, they go crazy.
So that was kind of a big inspiration for that story. And the way it launches on is like this detective. He's trying to figure out why all these, like, he keeps coming to these crime scenes, and the main motif of all these crime scenes is that the people always end up gouging their eyes out, and that's where you administer the drug. Yeah, that's
like that's one of the few places like if you mention gouging your eyes, like I'm just like close my eyes. I feel my body like react to that gouging your eyes. That and I guess because my guy, I guess like, you know, a kick in the balls or a shot in the dick, you know, like I feel that too. I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah, you just kind of visualize it, and you're just like, you know that. Yeah, so that's kind of where that story goes. It's kind of pretty like Clive Barker-ish in the way, like, one of the main side effects of this drug, like whenever you take it at the right dose, is it's supposed to be an aphrodisiac. Oh. So it was kind of like a thing where these people, you know, they take it, they start fucking, and they want to take more of it, you know, to get more of the same effect, and that's whenever shit starts going bad. So most of the story, it's like 3 different scenes where these people start, you know, having sex. Like this one dude gets his girlfriend to take it, like he's trying to get her to go back with him. He's like, man, I got this drug that'll make everything better for us. It'll make sex out of this world. And she takes it, and in the middle, like she starts tripping, and she's like sucking his dick. Yeah. And she ends up having like a spasm or a convulsion, and her jaw locks up, and she ends up like biting his dick off. And you know,
man. Hey,
that happens though. Shit like that.
That happens though.
And yeah, so
you know what music?
Like I said.
You know what music is good fucking music?
What?
You just throw that out there. And you might recognize the song. Check this out. Wait. Do I have your permission to play this?
Sure.
You know what this is?
No, go for it.
Hold on.
I'm waiting.
I'm waiting too. The suspense. Okay, now you hear it?
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna put it up. Turn it up. This, I'm just like, oh shit. This is some next level stuff. Ooh. This is from you, right?
Yep, that's one of my songs.
You made this.
I actually forgot what it's called, the name of the song. But.
Uncontrollable Flesh.
Yes.
Because it's some ass jiggling, twerking, just gyrating. It's so like, I don't know, it's so tight and precise, and it's I just like it. I like the whole thing.
Well, thanks. Glad you like it.
Sweet song. How long have you been writing music, playing?
Oh man, at least 10 years, I'd say.
10 years.
Yeah, I started when I was a kid.
Wow. What got you into it?
You know, it's kind of a good question. I mean, I've always been like a music head, like way early on. You know, I just always loved music. And I guess like junior high, I had some friends who were like trying to start a band, and they asked me, and he's like, man, you should get a bass guitar and like join us. You know, it's kind of a gag thing at first. I was like, sure, whatever, I'll do that. And
yeah, that's how it usually starts.
And I ended up, you know, just keep joining bands while I was in high school. I was in 2 different bands, and we'd play like on the weekend. Like I played shows like every weekend for a while. Yeah. And it was just kind of like my life, you know. And I just loved being on stage and like writing heavy music. Like it became a cathartic thing for me, I guess.
Hey man, I respect that 100%. That channels something in me that kind of like, man, that's so cool. Being able to do that. You know, I dabble with instruments, but you went all the way, man. That's I mean, you're still doing it. That's great. Mm-hmm. That's good, man. So, in high school, going from band to band and forming bands, dude, when you reflect on those days, like I bet you could think of some crazy drama, some stupid moments. You know, I mean, I had moments where like some guy was like. We weren't even a band yet. Like I even told him, like, look, dude, we shouldn't be having these problems yet. Like we haven't even had our first gig, and you already have a coke problem. What the fuck is your problem?
Right.
You know? Anything like that?
Sorry, say it again. I lost you there for a second.
Anything like that? Any weird, you know, band drama or anything? You know?
So I do. I'm trying to think here because I don't want to like put anybody on blast.
You don't have to name names. You're fine. You're fine.
So yeah, like in the high school days weren't that crazy. That was before the alcohol and the drugs came in. We were still all pretty good kids back then. But I guess my early college years, I do remember one time we were auditioning a guitarist, and so for reference. Everyone in the band and me, I still am, are like agnostic, I guess. We're not like against religion, but we're just not religious people. Yeah, and the kind of music I write, you know, is pretty dark stuff. You know, we're not we're not religious at all. But anyway, we had this guitarist come in. He was an amazing guitarist. We heard about him from the area. And given the area we're in, you know, like rural Missouri, it's really hard to find like guitar players that play the kind of stuff we do. And we brought him in, and our vocalist knew him really well. And he's a super nice guy.
And he starts playing country music.
No, nothing like that. He made it up front. Like, the reason why he wanted to join our band was because he said God had told him to. He is like a super religious dude.
Oh man!
And
he would be so annoying on the road, guys. He would be so annoying if he even made it there.
Yeah, he didn't make it there. Here's the thing, you know, he's a super nice dude, one of the nicest people I've ever met. But he was like just serious about that.
Probably,
you know, like
yes.
And he like the reason why he auditioned for us, like, he is honestly like, he was above our skill level, I'd say. But he said that he was working at like a kitchen somewhere, like a food restaurant. And he said that he got a like message from God that he should join our band. Like, he knew about our band or whatever, and he just said that he should at least try us out. And you know, he came to the audition, and you know, he made it up front that he, like, God, like Jesus was his life. You know, and we were like, all right, man, that's cool. That's not us, but as long as you kind of just keep that your own thing, whatever. So you know, we're practicing and we're jamming, and our drummer, he had fallen earlier that day, and like his leg was kind of acting up, and he was like, man, I don't know if I can practice much longer, guys. I'm kind of cramping up over here. And so the guitarist was like, dude, 100%, let me faith heal you. Let me just give me your leg for a second. Yeah.
Like, he's like a fucking medic, like, you call on Jesus for healing powers?
Yeah. So
I'm sorry.
So it's me and my guitarist and our vocalist, and we're just all sitting there like blank faced, like trying not to have any kind of reaction whatsoever. And here's my drummer. He's just going along with it, you know. The poor guy's just like, sure, man, we can try that, whatever. And so he like gets down on his knees and like grabs my drummer's leg, and he like closes his eyes, and he's like, dear God, they're up in heaven, please, you know, yada yada yada.
Hallowed be thy name. Like, that's
yeah. And he's like, how do you feel, man? You know, he did his whole spiel, and the guy was like, I guess I feel all right. And you know, he like limped back to his drum kit, and he like tried to drum a little bit more, and he's like, I'm sorry, that didn't do anything. And it was just kind of awkward. He's like, oh, that's all right, you know, I tried. And that's one rather weird event, I guess you could say.
That's a cool story, though. I dig that story. And that's what's so cool about forming and being in a band. Even if you don't make it, you have life experiences that you're not going to get. I guess there's a chance maybe you could have gotten that somewhere else, but come on, how many people get to experience someone faith healing you?
Right. And one time we were on tour. It was like a Midwest tour, and one of the stops we had to drive through Arkansas, which man, if people think Missouri is like a shithole state, like a rednecky weird state, they should try driving through fucking Arkansas. Holy shit! Like,
hold on. I think we have some fans that live in Arkansas. They might live in Alabama.
I'm not dissing anyone specifically from Arkansas.
Hey, it's okay. If they, no one should get hurt like that to that degree where they go, I don't want to listen anymore. No, come on.
But okay, I won't say anything bad about Arkansas. I will just say that we drove through there, you know, and we had to take some kind of back road to get to. We were going to Texarkana, I believe, and my GPS. I was the one driving. The GPS was acting up, and we were on the state highway, and we were driving forever, like in the literal middle of nowhere. And we eventually come upon the town of Wiener, Arkansas.
Oh, that's a winter town. That's a winter town right there.
We had to all stop and get out and take pictures with the sign.
Oh,
there was some guy.
What sort of asshole? What sort of asshole names their town Wiener Town? You know that you know the founders of that town were shitting them, right? They had to have been.
It looked like maybe 3 people lived there. Like, we drove through it in about 10 seconds. Like, it was one of those just super small, like, unincorporated townships, I guess. But there was like a guy on a tractor, like plowing his fields, and he just saw us all taking pictures with the sign. And it was just funny because, that's like his home, and we're just sitting there kind of semi making fun of it because the name was just unbelievable. And,
well,
yeah.
I mean, you see a sign that says Wiener, you got to take pictures of it. That farmer was like, there's a tourist again, just fascinated by my wiener, about the town's
damn
wiener.
Kids.
Yep. So I was listening to this other track, sweet track, Dichotomous Duality.
Right.
First of all, the title sounds pretty cool, and then
thank you.
Let's play this again. I'll play. You have the piano going. All right. Oh, sweet. And the way it builds. Oh, man, I'm in it now. Oh, now I'm wrapped around. At this point, I am wrapped around in a fucking metal blanket. I want to play more, man. That's okay. That song. How long did it take you to put that song together?
Honestly, I can't think back to specific songs. It's honestly kind of a blur when I write them. But so like, if you notice, I write horror and stuff. I kind of crossed over my metal and my love of horror because I've actually written a lot of like scores for a lot of indie games on Steam and stuff. So I kind of incorporate a lot of like horror elements, like a weird piano.
Hold on, back up. You wrote songs for indie games on Steam?
Yes, most of them ended up not making it on Steam. Like the development company just kind of dissolved. But I've had a few on there, like a Resource, Sourcemine, a few other ones.
So we could right now download a game on Steam, play it, and be listening to your music.
I think so, if they're still on. I don't play Steam, so honestly don't know. I just know I've had people contact me, and like development companies, because they heard I have this. I have music in a couple like licensing libraries. So like if you have like a game where you want to buy some music and have the rights to it, I have a lot of songs up there, and that's kind of like where I make my other chunk of money. Like most of the stuff I write. Like, I don't know if you like watch the Travel Channel and stuff, but they have like a lot of like, corny like Southern rock music in the background and stuff like that.
That's you?
Yeah, not all of it's me, but I've had pieces like if you ever watch Man vs. Food or what's the guy's name?
Man vs. Food. I watched that kind of guiltily, feel sorry for the guy. Like, man, their health insurance is not paying for this, right?
Oh, yeah. But,
he's killing himself.
What's funny is on the credits, they actually list the library that they bought the music from and not my name. So the first time I heard like one of my pieces on TV, I was like, Mom, get in here. Look, I'm on TV. And like, just waiting for the credits to pop up, and the credits pop up, and it's like music by Pond 5 LLC. And I'm just like, fuck. Because...
Well, is that going to continue to happen? I mean, you have your own studio now. I mean, does that have to happen?
Well, it does happen just because, like, licensing, it's more of a business aspect, and these libraries kind of take care of the business part, and I just get to write the music and upload it, and they pay me for it.
Do they throw you some chump change in turn, or is it good money, or what are we talking about?
Oh, it's good money. They keep, like, usually a song will go for like $50, $60 on there, and I get to keep 3/4 of that, and then, like, let's say, like a Netflix series or something buys one of my songs, and then I get airtime. That it hasn't happened yet.
Dude, I would piss myself right now if you said that.
Well, actually, it was really random. This Russian web series, like, have you ever seen Top Gear or know what Top Gear is about?
I know what Top Gear is, but this may not count since it's Russian. But yeah.
Well, it was I had to look it up because I had to find the show so I could apply the royalties to what's called a Q sheet. But anyway, someone had bought my songs, and the library, I looked up the receipt from the library, and it was in Russian. And I was like, well, that's weird. And so I tracked it down on YouTube, and I couldn't understand anything they were saying, but it was like a Russian, like, it looked like Top Gear. These guys like going out in the woods and like ATVs and just like doing real.
Top Gear in Russia.
Yeah.
Oh, Top Gear in Russia. I wonder if Putin even watches that or checks that out. If so, man.
It was literally like I watched a few episodes just to see if I could find the song they used by me, and it's literally like these dudes, they're going out on 4-wheelers and stuff and like doing just really manly stuff in the woods, and that's all I could gather from it. So I'm not really sure what it was about, but
and they're Russian,
so, yeah,
they're Russian, so any manly thing they do is probably be amplified to the next degree, like probably roasting bears afterwards or whatever, you know.
Or, you know, getting like direct intravenous vodka into their arm or something.
Doing some crocodile. They do some serious shit over there, man. They're like another breed. But strong people, you know, tough guys.
And but where I was going with that was they're a web series, so I get royalties from that. So I do get pretty good money from doing that. It's not a fameful job because, like I said, usually in the credits, it's the library that gets the credit.
That's good, though. So those listening, if you write horror, maybe get another talent. Learn how to play music.
Yeah, and it's funny because actually another guy, this didn't fall through, but a guy approached me. He was making a movie, and
oh, sweet.
And it was like a horror movie. I forgot what it's called. It actually appeared in like Sundance, their film festivals that they had. It like won an award. But he auditioned me and 3 other guys because he heard like the metal stuff I write and the way I kind of had horror to it. And he wanted to. I was one of the 3 people that had to get auditioned for it. And just those kind of opportunities, you know, just because of the way I make my things sound, you know. I like stuff heavy and spooky.
Yeah, yeah. And you've done. I know I commissioned you for some work. I didn't really pay you anything, unfortunately.
Right. No, that was just me. Like I loved, you know, you gave me like 2 of my publication credits that I could use in my cover story, and so that was my way of, I guess, of paying you back for giving me 2 of my.
But you didn't have to do that at all. But it was. I appreciate it 100%.
And it was fun.
It is a badass track. I played it in the beginning, but let me play it again. This. I told you, I was like, man, let me play it again. Where is it? Right here. This one. This sounds so cool. And here we go. Man, like you turned. Hold on, let me show anyone who's listening what the original sounded like and what you did to it, because you made it sound so much more intense. You did like a whole makeover. This is what it originally sounded like. Cookie cutter garage band shit. I guess that's what it was. With my amateur guitar work. Oh man. But you
Well, see, I mean, the track itself, I mean, I like the track itself because, I mean, I couldn't rework something that sounded like shit, you know? Like, the song itself was good. I just kind of took that vision and added my own, like, super down-tuned guitar sound to it, you know?
You did. And that's the next, man. So what do you play? You sound like you play everything. What do you play, man? What do you play?
So my big 2 instruments are bass and guitar, and I play a little bit of piano. Like I don't want to say I play piano. I started incorporating piano into my tracks. You know, I'd like follow a guitar line and then play it on the piano. So I don't really know what the hell I'm doing on piano. I just know I can play stuff that sounds, you know, dark. So those are the 3
dark and moody
instruments.
Here's I have a bass loop from you that he sent me. Is it right here?
Oh yeah.
I love this, man. It's so groovy. It sounds like something from like Seinfeld.
Yeah.
What's the deal with airplane food? And this sounds more like something like corn or something. Oh man, that slap. take it down just a notch. Oh man. Sorry, I just wanted to show off your bass. I don't have any piano stuff, so I can't show that off.
Right. No, I don't have anything piano-wise to show off. Just whatever's in my metal tracks that I use as like a background thing. But I appreciate it.
Hey, dude, so
like it.
Guitar, bass, drums?
So I don't play drums. I like program drums, like all the stuff that you heard. So like there's like programs where you can like write the drums and stuff. But I can't play drums to save my life, and I respect all drummers.
What I heard was a program.
All the songs you heard were used with a program called Addictive Drums 2. I guess I'll shill XLN Audio for making a really awesome drum plugin. But yeah, that's all computer drums. But they sound real though, don't they?
They do. They don't sound fake at all. Wow. Okay. Well, damn. Whew. That's a lot of talent right there.
Well, thank you, man.
Hey.
I appreciate it.
No problem. No problem. And so, but you're in a band though right now, right?
I'm in a couple different bands, like the one I showed you, Inseeker. That's actually a studio project between me and one other guy. Yeah.
This sounds pretty badass.
And we don't play any shows or anything, though. It's just me and my friend Shelby Potts. We just kind of... I had like a whole album's worth of songs, and he's a guy I went way back with, and he is an amazing vocalist, and I just really like the stuff he does.
We got a track right here I could play.
Yeah, man, go for it.
I got the green light to play it. All right. All right. Let's... All right, let me get it up right now and get it going. Seduction Wounds is the name of the track.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You've got a bad luck on the draw, my boy. Sleep those killing feels to me. You know there ain't no destiny. Eating zombies being away. You can't buy it. You ain't for us, those ones and kings of nothing. The body's from the spirit. Well, so lost and now I see. A real man don't mean a thing. Ghost switch, don't give a shit what you think. Ain't that just our American dream? Go where till they cleanse alone. I won't even crack a smile. Tearing pages from your open book.
Wow. That's cool. I enjoy that a lot. Whew.
Yeah, man, thanks.
This is straight in your face. It's like in your face attitude. I love that shit. That's the kind of music I dig. You know, you can say, oh, metal, you know, I like metal. Obviously, I like metal. But there's different styles of metal. And I don't you know, there's different names, different terms, and all that stuff. But all I know is that, like, songs like this that have that sort of in your face, we don't give a shit attitude, that stuff, no matter what sort of, like, special genre tier of metal it falls under, that gets me 100% every time. I don't know. Like, there's Pantera tracks that sound like they kind of have that same vibe. There's all sorts of different bands that had that vibe, certain tracks.
I love Pantera. I will say that up front. Yeah, they're one of the first bands I got into, like metal band wise.
Man,
definitely.
Ooh, yeah. So what metal bands influenced you?
Man, I've kind of gone through a different spectrum over the years. Like, whenever I first got into metal, and these are bands I still listen to, but I guess that first influenced me would be like Rob Zombie, 9 Inch Nails, Marilyn Manson, like the industrial metal. Like, that was what was huge whenever I was growing up. You know
what? I still like that stuff too. Every now and then.
Now, still.
Rob Zombie. Yeah. Now, when I first heard, I think I did hear White Zombie before Rob Zombie. I heard No Human
definitely.
Than Human. And I was like, man, this song is badass. I even had that album. That's right, I did. And I listened to it, and then I love that track. I love that album. There was a few songs that, like, I was like, what is going on here on that? It was like some sort of experimental thing. But, like, the first track, Electric Head Part 1, Electric Head Part 2, man, god damn, they're great fucking tracks. Yeah. And then And then Rob Zombie, man, I don't know. What do you think? What do you compare the two? Like White Zombie, Rob Zombie. Like what are we looking at? It's like they don't really compare, right? I mean,
Yeah, that was like I think White Zombie was like his beginnings, and it was kind of you can hear as I don't want to say garage band because that's like a derogatory term, but it's just more raw sounding, And whereas Rob Zombie, like the Rob Zombie band, it's like horror metal, which is where I draw a lot of my influence from. It's like heavy ass riffs, but you got like these weird spooky like 50s movie sound effects going on in the background. He sampled like a lot of like the Frankenstein stuff and somehow remixed that into his music, and I just love that. And his movies, like the House of a Thousand Corpses, and what was the other one? It was like the sequel to that. Oh, The Devil's Rejects.
The Devil's Rejects. Yes.
Yeah, like I love the way that he does that. That's I guess you could say that's like the route I'm going, except I'm not a film director. More like with story writing. But I just love that he incorporated like those horror elements into his music. And that's I just remember the first time I heard Dracula by him, and I was just like, man, this is the heaviest shit I've ever heard in my life. And just like banging your head. I'm like 13 years old. My mom's like freaking out because I'm listening to this guy talk about demonic possession and shit.
What?
Just shit like that. But yeah, that was definitely earlier on. Those are some of my earlier influences. And then as I got later on into high school and stuff, I started getting into more like technical metal, like more shreddy style stuff.
Okay.
And eventually, and you'll hear that with the tracks you've been playing recently. You'll notice they're like just kind of weird. The riffs are kind of off time a little bit, and there's actually a genre for that. Although some people won't say it's a genre, it's more of an automatopoeia for what the guitar sounds like. But it's called djent. Djent. Yes, Djent. And
I'm not sure what this is. I'm not sure what is that.
So like, it was
and by the way,
it was first
playing Electric Head Part 1 right now because this video is not going to get this. See, with the YouTube's new policy, since none of my videos make money anyway, it doesn't matter to me if they get or get dinged for copyright music or whatever. It doesn't. That doesn't affect me at all. In fact, if anything, kind of helps. That means it might go back into the queue or whatever because someone else is going to profit off of it, not me.
Right.
But dude, this track, I'm sorry. Like I go crazy on metal too. Sorry. You were talking about djent.
Oh, yeah. So like that. This is definitely like a newer genre of metal. So like the way that term came about is by a guy. His name's Fredrik Thordendal. He's a Swedish guy, and he's from a band called Meshuggah, which is one of my favorite bands.
Meshuggah, yeah. I know them, yeah.
And they're one of the, I guess you could say, the forefathers of that genre. They've been playing that kind of just crazy, off-the-wall, like progressive style of music. And yeah, that's kind of something I really enjoy that I write now more days.
That's cool, man. Let's
like heavily down to.
They can play some examples of that. Hold on, this. Oh fuck yeah, dude! Right here. That's it. And it's I know. Like if you were to redo this, if you were to do it, what would you do? Would you change anything? Would you tone it down?
Honestly, no, man. He was onto something here.
Yeah.
Rob Zombie is Rob Zombie. You can't change that.
Whew, man, I just get goosebumps right now. This track. Fuck. Damn. Oh man, but hey, wow. I mean, I could imagine a modern band modifying this song, making it sound what they tune their guitars down. So what? I mean, what's your tuning? It's not the basic. It's not the standard E tune. What is it?
No. So like that the song I redid for your show is actually in double drop D tuning.
Double drop D tuning.
So
that
you know
almost
how
sounds pornographic. Double drop D. Double D. You
Yes.
double D'd on my song? Dude.
Yes. But that was so like how there's drop D, the normal drop D, which is like what most Rob Zombie songs are in actually. So it's a whole octave below that, and you need special guitars. Like I play an 8-string guitar, like
8-string. Whoa, 8-string. So not just 7-string, but 8-string. So because I know Korn they rock a 7-string, right?
Right, and so like that term Djent I talked about, they were very close to that sort of genre, like the super down-tuned percussive sound. I wouldn't call them Djent, but they were very close to that. They were one of the first ones to use those like super low.
Korn was?
Yeah, they were. There's actually like a meme in the metal community about Korn because all these bands are like dropping their tuning down now, and they were like one of the bands to do that in the '90s, along with Meshuggah, but they were two totally different types of music. Like,
oh yeah, totally different. I would not. I would never, like, if someone were to, like, I don't know, if I were to see Korn and Meshuggah together on the same bill, on the same tour, I'd be like, for real? Like,
right.
I don't even think, I wouldn't even imagine, if someone were to tell me, oh yeah, dude, those bandmates, they hang out together, I'd be like, are you sure? Like,
yeah, definitely not. But where I was going with that is, so just down-tuned in general, that's like a more trendy thing, I guess, in metal. But, so yeah, like, man, a fucking Rob Zombie song and like one of those like super low tunings would probably like open the gates of hell. It would be super dynamically heavy.
So is this Djent?
Sure. I don't know who that was, but yeah.
I don't know either. It's pretty badass though. It's Until the Uprising, Alien, Djent, progressive metal.
Oh, yeah, I haven't heard that. But another good example, have you played the newest Doom game at all?
I haven't played it. I played a little bit of it, but I haven't played it this much. I did have it.
What?
Sorry, that's a game I need to own, and I don't own it, and I should, and that's unfortunate.
Oh yeah, dude, it's a badass game with a super badass soundtrack. But the composer for that Mick Gordon, he actually, if you like play one of his songs, like he uses like one of those super low tuned songs. But man, it's like the most badass soundtrack to any video game ever. Like you listen to that and you just want to like open skulls. It's so like aggressive and violent. Man. Because it goes with the game.
And that does stuff for me too, man. In ways I can't even say, because like growing up as a little child playing Doom, you have any idea what sort of influence that soundtrack had on me? Right.
Yeah. And that's a cool thing. He actually took the original soundtrack. He used the same notes. He just dropped it way the fuck down, like several octaves.
I was trying to look for that, and I gotta
definitely the BFG Division by Mick Gordon is something. That's one of the best songs on that game. It is just ridiculously heavy.
Okay, so what I'm playing right now is some guy doing Djent versus Shred. So is this shredding or is it Djent?
That's shredding.
What about this?
That's Djent.
Okay. What about this?
I think that's shredding.
Yep, that's shredding. So shredding was like Dimebag Darrell. Dimebag Darrell was definitely a shredder, right?
And early Metallica, like any kind of thrash.
Yeah. Slayer.
Anthrax. Slayer, oh yeah.
Anthrax.
Like, AKA
man.
Like real metal, I guess most people say, the big four.
And out of those bands, man, Slayer was one I didn't get into till later. But yeah, Metallica, Pantera, ooh man, even
oh yeah, the first time. What?
Oh no, go ahead, that's cool.
It's like the first time I heard Cowboys from Hell, man, I was just like,
oh
fuck, this is
that song, Cowboys from fucking Hell. Shit. What were you at, man? Where were you at when you first heard that?
That was like So I'm only 26, I'm a little bit of a youngin, I guess, and I heard that was my freshman year of high school, and my guitarist actually introduced it to me because I guess whenever I got to metal, I skipped all the older stuff, and you know, I got right into it with like Rob Zombie and like stuff that came out whenever I was around. So my guitarist, you know, he was into the older stuff, and I mean, Pantera is not really older. I guess they're like 80s, 90s, I guess, but that was before my time, I guess you could say. That was before I was born.
Fair
literally.
enough. Yeah.
And yeah, that was just the first time hearing that like gritty, like southern raw, just meanness, man. You know, just mean, just like, yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah, you're right. Yeah, as I was just saying, that was a good way to describe it. That southern sound, that's so, for me, that's like so unique about Pantera. I have not heard another band that has that southern, I guess what you even call it, like southern metal. That doesn't even, I don't even think that's a genre. I know it probably is with a bunch of bands I want to emulate it. Like I can think of a few. I could think of what the Texas hippie correlation. No correlation. You know what I say? What the fuck is their name? Coalition. I
actually haven't heard of them.
Oh, that's one band. They wanna be a southern metal band. Now, there's a lot of other bands that want to do that, you know, and they want to have that sound. But I don't know.
See, I mean, so that the band Insecure, the band you played earlier, we have some southernness to us. Like there's some of the songs aren't southern at all, but Insecure is definitely where I branch off and do the southern thing, because there's a bunch of southern bands that I really love.
Okay.
And
well,
yeah,
you have a track that would I'm looking at it right now. Let's see. I'm looking at the was it
Beta
Insecure?
Earth,
Beta Earth,
and also Warrior.
Featuring,
those are two of our.
This is Beta Earth featuring Jack Daniels. Are you talking about just like
not the whiskey? There's an actual guitarist named Jack Daniels. He's actually in a huge band called War of Ages, and he's a really good friend of mine. And he does a guest solo at the end of that track that just melts your
okay, that's cool.
face.
I thought maybe, you know, I was.
Everyone thinks it's whiskey. They think I'm
Jesus.
But
so I'm as typical as everybody else, assuming the same sort of gag. Here we go again. Jesus, no. Jack Daniels didn't fuel the song.
He fueled a few songs, but maybe not specifically that one.
All right, here's Beta Earth. All right. Oh, Black Label Society. That's another one.
Yep. Yeah. Love it. Zach Wild, anything.
Zach Wild, man.
For Southern.
Dude, that dude. Okay. I hear it. I'm digging it.
It gets more Southern. It gets heavy. Got this slow intro.
It's all right. Wow.
There's something coming after me, and I can't see well enough to fight it. This was more than just a dream, I'm sure. It's cold when the walls are closing in.
Wow. Alright, that's cool. That's pretty fucking cool.
You can kind of hear some of the southernness with it, you know.
Yeah.
That's just something I've always loved, you know. Pantera, Maylene and Sons of Disaster, Every Time I Die, just those kind of southern grittiness to it, you know. I wanted to add that somewhere.
And the way you describe it, the southern gritty, I mean, that's the only way I could really think of, because it's like how would you, like, what is the difference of that southern metal sound versus anything else? Like, just regular.
Well, like, I think like, you know, like Leonard Skinner, you know, they are very southern. They're not metal, but they're like southern rock. So it's like, imagine if Leonard Skinner, instead of it being like a bunch of like laid back good old boys who like, you know, just make this chill music, what if they were just these angry, pissed off, guys from Alabama who took that like southernness, but they, you know, threw some distortion on it and down-tuned it and started screaming instead of singing, you know?
Yep,
That's
there
why
you
the
go.
way I think of.
That's your
That's the way I
definition.
think of it.
That's a good way. That's a good way to describe it. That's a good way to frame it. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So favorite metal band. If you were to go, okay, like I don't know, could you do a favorite? Do you have a favorite?
Man, I would have to do a top 5 at least.
Top
Like, I don't
5.
have-
Okay. Top 5 metal bands.
Because my tastes switch around so much. Oh man, you're gonna have to give me a second here to compile my bit
Okay.
list here.
Okay. While you're doing that, I can, okay. You got it?
Yeah, so like I guess the first one would probably be 9 Inch Nails. Just
yeah.
because they're one of the first ones to literally one of the first metal bands I ever heard, and I still love everything Trent Reznor does.
What was your first song?
Probably Closer. You know,
Closer?
I want to fuck you like an animal. The one that kinda got them.
That's the one.
I remember hearing
man.
that on the radio, and I was like, "Holy shit, this is so dark and like depressing and heavy." And I love it.
Oh,
kind of thing.
and that's another song that he fucked to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so let's see here. That's the first one, just because of how long I've liked them. Second one would definitely be Meshuggah, like way opposite in a different direction, like the crazy technical metal. Just because I don't know, I've come to love them more and more. Like the first time I heard Meshuggah, I was like, "What the fuck is this?" Because they're so random and weird, and their guitars are tuned so low, and their riffs are so weird. And I was like, "What is this?" And then I got into music theory a little bit later on, and kind of understood what they were doing, and I was like, wow, that's mind-bending. They're playing 2 different tempos at once kind of thing. And they're big on like the polyrhythms. Like if you hear them, like their drummer does this like crazy actually it's funny, Bill Burr, the comedian, recently saw them live.
Yeah.
And he talked about how it was just so crazy because like their drummer, Thomas Hawk, he literally plays 2 rhythms at once for most of the song.
How do you do that?
Exactly. Yeah, they're it's crazy, you know, and I love them because they're the kind of a lot of contemporary bands I listen to have tried to emulate them. Like the term djent that I threw out there, that used to not even be a thing. They were like the only ones who did that, but now a lot of bands have. And I'm one of them, I will say, that kind of got into that whole mode of really weird down-tunedness with 8 strings and all that. But I guess I put Meshuggah as my second, just because they're one of the bands I listen to the most.
Okay. Meshuggah second. Cool. So 9 Inch
guess the
Nails,
third-
Meshuggah.
Right. Let's see here. Third one would have to be Russian Circles, and they're a totally different band. They are more
Russian
like post
Circles.
rock.
I have not. Okay, let me look.
They're definitely smaller. They're not a well-known band, I guess. They're pretty
Russian
underground.
Circles.
Yes. And they are instrumental post-rock, so like very ambient, kind of chill. But they have some parts where they get heavy. But man, like anytime I'm writing or doing anything, they're usually the band I have in the background, just because their music is so atmospheric and spooky. And I love them for that. They're very minimalistic, but they make so much out of so little. I guess it's like 3 dudes, but it sounds massive, kind of thing.
I'm playing something off their album. I'm not sure what this is. Russian Circles Station full album.
Oh yeah, that's actually one of my favorite albums by them. Ironic.
Okay. I'm just gonna skip ahead and see if I land. Let's see.
It takes a while for them to build up. They use a lot of like ambient sound and effects and stuff before they actually get into riffing and all that.
Okay, yeah, here we go. We got some. Okay. Some guitar to set the mood. Russian Circles.
Yeah, pretty cool guys.
Okay, this is pretty chill.
Mhm.
The drums are picking up, yeah. I'm digging this, yeah. I like it.
Yeah, you know, they're definitely more laid back, I guess, chiller.
Okay. All right. This is your third.
Yeah.
What's your fourth?
The fourth one would have to be a band called Maylene and the Sons of Disaster. And they are a super southern metal band, I guess you'd say.
Maylene and the Sons of Disaster.
Yeah.
I haven't heard that one either.
Yeah, they're basically, imagine just Pantera and Leonard Skinner put together, and that's basically what they sound
Hold
like.
on here. I gotta check this out. Maylene and the...
Yes.
I don't even spell this right. Maylene and the Sons of Disaster. Yeah, I totally did not spell that right at all, but here we go. Maylene, Sons of Disaster, Step Up. I'm on
Oh,
it.
that's one of their best ones. Yep.
All right, let me go ahead and get this video, this live stream flagged for another copyright violation. Oh, this is cool. Yep, that's southern metal.
Oh yeah, one of my biggest influences.
Oh yeah, that's fucking badass. Dude. Man, that is badass.
Yeah, they're definitely one of my favorite southern bands around.
Dude. Wow, I'm learning so much. I seriously am, because I didn't even know about them, but now I'm digging that sound. It's like bluegrass fucking metal right there.
Yep, that's one of my biggest influences. Like with writing metal-wise, if I'm not doing the Djent thing, I'm usually doing some southern shit.
Man.
I just love their sound. So southern, you know.
So would you say that you'd be a southern boy? Because aren't you a northern? You're a northern guy.
Well, technically, I mean, you're from Texas, so this is relational, I guess. But you know, I'm from the Midwest, technically.
Yeah.
You know.
What is
I
a
would-
Midwesterner doing loving southern music?
Well, all my family is from Florida, like all the family on my dad's side, and I go down to Florida a lot. And so I've always had like southern roots in me, I guess. Like I like to go fishing a lot. I'm an outdoorsman, and you wouldn't know it by looking at me. You know, I'm like a metalhead, I guess. So most people don't. Most of the like rednecks I see out fishing, they like see me out in my kayak, you know, catching bass. And like, what the hell is this boy doing? And yeah, I guess you could. I definitely. I would say I have some southern in me for sure. You know, I would say I probably don't get along with most southern people, I guess, but in general, I'd say I got some southern in me just from loving the country.
Hey, nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong. I used to say sometimes I have hillbilly in my veins every now and then. It depends on the situation. Gee, what situation
like,
would that
I'm
come
one
from?
of the few people that like Stag and Bush. Those are some of my favorite beers, you know, and I guess that's a southern thing, I reckon.
Bush,
I'm not sure.
Look, man, like I drink normally like Shiner and things like that, but Bush, I mean, Bush is a lot cheaper. It's a lot like, to me, it's like kind of like old man beer. It's like, all right. But,
yeah, you know, it's just got that weedy kind of taste to it.
I'll tell you what, I'll drink just about any beer if it's free.
Right.
If it's free, dude, there's nights I would drink the Lone Star because it's free, and that stuff is not. It's not really that good.
See, I've never heard of Lone Star, but like
Texas.
I've drank like was it Steel Reserve? Man, that stuff is I guess because it's like a higher alcohol content. But that shit, you got to be a man to drink that stuff.
Oh man, I gotta try that.
But yeah,
I'll try that shit out. Okay, so this is number 4, Maylene and the Sons of Disaster.
right.
Number 5. What's number 5 for you?
Number 5. Well, honestly, it's a toss-up between Queens of the Stone Age
Are they metal?
And
They are metal, huh?
they're not metal. Well, okay, some of their earlier stuff's pretty heavy, like Songs for the Deaf. They have some pretty heavy shit on there, but most of it's not really metal. It's more like stoner rock, I guess.
And I dig that shit too. As far as stoner rock, one band I dig listening to was it Dozer?
Oh yeah, Dozer. I like them quite a bit. Yeah.
There was another one. I play them a lot during my live streams. What was their name? They're like 3 initials. AG something. I don't know. What
I'm not sure.
It'll come to me. Or ASG or something.
Right.
They're just some weird name that they're. Oh yeah, ASG. ASG. This is a good, cool sound too. But so number 5 for you would be Queens of the Stone Age.
Yeah, it's a tie between Queens of the Stone Age and then Tool. I'm a really big Tool fan.
Oh yeah, Tool. That's a good one.
Yeah. So, or anything that their vocalist Maynard does, like A Perfect Circle, I like them a lot too. But those are like the 2, I guess, that would hold the same spot in my heart.
See, this is ASG. Stuff like that, you know.
Oh man, I feel like I've heard those guys somewhere.
You probably have. Oh man, there was another one. As far as stoner metal, dude, they like popped my cherry on on stoner metal. They have like such a raw California desert like gritty sound. Not Truck Fighters.
Yeah.
Have you heard Truck Fighters?
I have not.
Dude, they have a pretty sweet sound too. But
I'll have to check them out.
What is their name? And I play them so often, I don't know. I hate that when I can't think of their name and it's just coming to me. It's just like, oh shoot. Okay. Oh, something so glow something. I don't know. I'm coming up with words now. Just okay. So that's your list. That's your list. Top 5. Okay. See,
right.
Look, so if you take that, do you have a YouTube channel?
I do. Yeah, I think it's just Shadrick Beechem, and yeah, I have a YouTube channel. I do like a lot of playthroughs, like guitar and bass playthroughs and stuff.
Sweet. You have any top 10 videos, top 5 videos?
I do not. I haven't done like any kind of compilation lists or anything like that.
They are, if you put in the time to put it together, they reward.
Oh yeah.
They do. And look, you just did your top 5 right now. Look at that. We just did the work. We just did the work. Look at that. That's good. That's good. I dig that.
Yeah, it's kind of all over the place with my music. You know, one day I'm listening to some balls-ass heavy stuff. And other days I like, more chill, laid-back kind of stuff.
Hey, man, that's okay, though. That's cool. It's good to have some, diversity in your sound. Like, for me, it's not just metal. Like, I dig other stuff, too, but not as frequent. Like, I don't really have, like jazz or... Well, I do have blues, but not jazz or classical. It's queued up on my, like, Pandora or whatever, but...
Right.
But I may listen to... lately, I don't know why exactly, but maybe... Okay, I do. Okay. Normally, I listen to... As far as my like my top 5, I would say like I've been chilling with See, I can't put together this list. There's too many bands.
It's hard.
It's too many bands, man. Too many bands.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say my go-to is one of my top is okay. I'm just flat out say it. Pantera.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
And people would be like, "Why not Metallica?" And I'll tell you why. I kind of like Pantera a little bit better than Metallica. Granted, I listened to Metallica more than I did Pantera when I was a freshman and junior in high school. But I don't know, like maybe it was because I was a teenager when they were going through their whole Napster phase, and that led an impression on me. Maybe their politics, or maybe it was the bad taste of Load and Reload. I mean, like for you.
See, that's the thing with Metallica, they kind of have gone through this progression. They're not metal anymore. They're kind of like Southern rock, and James Hetfield even said that. He's like, we don't do metal anymore. Like, Master of Puppets, Ride the Lightning, you know, that was like a whole different band compared to where they are now, you know. And
yeah, but
so you kind of,
I don't know about Southern rock.
I get that.
You would say they're Southern rock?
Well, I mean, they have some southernness to them, but more like just like hard rock, I guess.
Yeah.
Like hard rock. I mean, they do have some southernness to them. Like, what was that song by them? It was on. I can't even think of the album.
The latest one, the newest one.
Yeah, not the one before that. Death Magnetic.
Death Magnetic. Okay.
Yeah, that one. They had some southern songs on that one, and but yeah, just like kind of hard rock, you know. And like James is like, "Ooh yeah," you know, he does that.
Yeah, he has that
lot.
sound. I do dig James's voice now. I dig James' voice now better than I did like when he was younger. Like he sounds better now. Like the growl sounds better. That age, you know, through his throat. But it's just if imagine Master Puppets with the voice he has now, it would be like a totally different thing. But yeah, I can see like Pantera has just always been like in your fucking face, like raw, like, you know, southern demonness. Like, I don't even know how to describe them, but I can understand that, you know. Like, Pantera is still one of my go-to bands just because they're like the forefathers of that just aggressive, gritty southern sound. Yeah, they do. And Dimebag Darrell, man, he made it happen. Now,
actually, fun fact. So we were talking about like down-tuned like guitars and stuff. So I think Pantera, they play like in C sharp, but they adjust their tuners. Like whenever you have a guitar tuner, it's usually adjusted to 440 hertz. That's like what you tune your guitar to. But you know, Dimebag was kind of like a huge stoner, and I don't know if this is true or not, but I've heard this from like a couple different producers that they adjusted their tuners to 420 hertz and tuned to that because it makes sense. Because if you ever try to tune your guitar to like the Pantera tuning, it doesn't quite sound right if you do it to a normal guitar tuner. And I think that's why, because they tuned it down the extra 20 hertz so they could fucking say
stoner ass.
Yeah.
Dude, but that guy was wild. Like, okay, did you ever listen to Damage Plan?
Man, I heard a few songs from Damage Plan, and then what was Phil's other side project, Down, I think it was. And so I've only heard a few songs from Damage Plan. But yeah.
Isn't Down still active though, right? Down
I think so.
Still together, because isn't that the front man, the vocalist? That's his project, right?
Phil. Yeah, Phil Anselmo.
And Damage Plan was Dimebag Darrell's before he was killed, tragically. But I don't know. What was your take of Damage Plan? Because for me, it was. Ooh, I'll let you go first. What was your take of Damage Plan?
Well, it was definitely they were still aggressive.
Oh yeah.
And I can't remember the songs I heard, but I wasn't quite as southern. It was a little bit more modern. Yeah.
I can help you remember. Damage Plan. I loved their whole. It was everything about what's that Pantera album? The Blood Force Trauma. What's the name of the album?
I'm not sure.
It was that whole aggressiveness that a lot of the Pantera songs had, but it's just amplified even more. Here we go. I think Newfound Power was the album. I think the first track is just like in your face, fuck you track, literally. This is cool. Normally I just shoot the shit, and if we talk about like horror and stuff, this is very rare. I get to shoot the shit and talk about metal. I'm digging this.
Right. I'm glad I could get your metal taste in there.
Here we go. Man, That's cool.
Yeah.
All right, so just like aggressive, in your face, kick your ass. For me, man, this is like workout music, dude. I was like lift weights.
Yeah.
I lift weights at this.
Yeah, anytime I do work out weekly, and anytime I do lift, it's got to be some kind of stuff like that. I don't understand people who can like lift to fucking Nicki Minaj or something. And I hear a lot of people
you
who
can
do
lift
that.
it. Who lifts the Nicki Minaj?
Apparently, a lot of people. I'll like hear, like people with
Dudes?
beats on the, or like gangster rap, which I can see some rap.
Gangster
that's
rap,
really
I can
aggressive.
see, man.
But I straight up have heard like Nicki Minaj, Miley, just like that like positive pop stuff. I'm like, how in the hell that would like kill my testosterone?
Hold on. Imagine someone trying to lift weights. Imagine someone trying to power lift while listening to Taylor Swift.
Oh yeah, I just can't. I can't do it, man. It has to be like something that's gonna get my blood up,
That's probably how they get their fucking arms broken. You know what?
Yeah.
You've seen those videos because they're listening to Taylor Swift's stupid like breakup songs where they're lifting weights. Oh, yeah. Fuck. Sorry. See how much?
Yeah, man.
And all this digression came from I just named one on my list. That's what.
Oh yeah. What's some other ones?
I know, right? That's what this
Pantera?
podcast is. It's just nothing but endless digression, one way or the other.
Right.
All right, number 2. Dude, I want to just base this on metal bands I listen to most frequently through, I guess my years. So, Pantera, number 1. Number 2 would be Slayer.
Nice.
And that's actually more recent because my daughter, she digs Skeletons of Society. She digs that song. I'm telling you, that's what put her to sleep tonight.
Jesus, that's awesome.
That's the song she listened to. Like, I played, it's an easy riff. That it's like the same thing over and over and over again. But, man, I played that for her when she was born. She came into this world, and that riff kind of stuck in. Okay. I like Anthrax, but I don't like them enough to be on the list. I did listen to a lot of Megadeth, a lot, when I was a teenager, but I kind of want to throw some like death metal on this list. So In Flames.
Oh yeah, that was one of the first death metal bands I got into. Like, what was their first EP ever? Like Clayman, that EP that came out.
Was Clayman the first?
Swedish, like powerful, like they're almost power metal in some parts.
Yeah, they are.
Metal,
they're like melodic death metal, power metal. Wait, was Clayman their first, or was Jester Race their first? I thought Jester Race.
It could have been. I'm honest. That was the first one I heard from them, so it could have been Jester Race. I just remember like getting the Clayman album. And,
Clayman is badass.
It's weird.
Clayman. Dude, let me play that right now, dude. You are getting me. I'm like, this is like Christmas morning right now. I'm gonna listen.
Yes.
In Flames. I'm doing a radio show. This is the Deadman Storm radio show right now. In Flames.
Yes.
Clayman. My favorite album is Horacle. Hands down. That's my favorite one.
Yeah. Which one is it? Sorry, I lost you.
Horacle.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
definitely.
The song 666, episode 666. Dude, that song. I'll play it for you too if you don't believe me. You listen to that, you're like, oh, shit. I don't know. Okay. I think the first track from Clayman is the Bullet Race.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
This is the verse. In Flames. The part coming up. Yep.
And one thing about In Flames that I love is, as a bass player, one thing that stuck out to me is they had that huge bass tone, you know, and
They do.
you don't get that in a lot of metal. Like a lot of metal, like the bass is kind of buried under guitars, and people understand that that's where you get the heaviness from. It's from the bass. And I remember first hearing Clayman and just hearing that massive rally bass tone. And as a bass player, I just loved that. And I was like, I remember learning some In Flames songs and feeling so fucking cool because I got to play along to that and shit. But yeah.
You know, I also need to throw Rammstein on the list. Because I spent many teenage years listening to Rammstein. I still listen to them every now and then.
Mm-hmm.
They're a huge influence.
Man, Du Hast, I remember the first time I heard Du Hast, and just like how it was like repetitive.
Man, I got hard into them though, man. I was like a fucking fanboy.
It was like German, and I was like, what the fuck is this? I don't know what it is, but I love it.
Yeah, I was like a freaking fanboy. This is episode 666. Yep, episode 666, man. Whenever that song comes on, I'm just like, I'm ready to go. I'm all right. But yeah, Rammstein, I got hard into them, man. And like just about every album I would get, I listened to. And as years went on, it was clear that they wanted to do more than just metal. And every now and then they'll have like a soft song or even more than that.
Right.
And I get it. Bands have to change over time. You can't just have the same thing. And besides, how do you really... I mean, after you do, what was the name of the album that had Du Hast on it? After you have that album, how do you have that same sound again and do something new? They changed it up again, like recently, like they always do. They changed it up. But I think, is that 5? I didn't even put White Zombie or Rob Zombie on the list, but they would definitely be White Zombie for sure. Rob Zombie, like Hellbilly Deluxe, would be like my favorite, you know. Man. Whew. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, and actually, I totally forgot about this band, which I shouldn't have, but this would have been somewhere in my top 5, but Motorhead. Fucking love Motorhead.
Neither one of us said anything about Motorhead. Dude, we might have to punch ourselves on the dick for that.
Yeah. I literally I'm looking at a framed picture of Lemmy hanging up in my apartment as I'm saying this.
He's flicking you off right now, man. He's like, you forgot about me. You forgot about me.
He's like, gonna come down from heaven and strike me with a lightning bolt.
Yeah, man. But Motorhead is bad. Motorhead stands out because that was actually one. Okay, I don't know about you, but for me, like that initial period of first listening to metal was actually listening to. I was listening to one of my parents' CDs, and they had like one of those like it had a bunch of different songs from the era, whatever. And it had Ace of Spades on there.
Oh yeah, that's like their best known song, I guess you could say.
Oh yeah.
But we're talking about bands that change their sound. Man, Motorhead's put out like fucking 15 albums, and they haven't changed their sound at all. It was all just like fucking. It was all just fucking Motorhead, you know?
And you gotta... That's them. And it could work that way. They don't change for anything. They don't need to.
Yeah, man, if you're Lemmy, you can literally do whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah, I dig this philosophy, man.
Yeah.
He had a pretty good outlook on life. All the way to the end.
Yep, yeah, he's one of my biggest like bass influences as well. Like I remember watching the Lemmy documentary, and like came out the year after he died, I think, and like just how much of he was like the embodiment of rock star, not like in a douchey way, you know, but he literally lived on the road, you know. And,
he did. Ace of Spades. So you've done some touring though, right?
I've done some touring, not as much as I'd like to. Like I've done a lot of like weekend shows, but I've only gone on like 2 tours and like, yeah.
Any
not
stories?
As much as I want to.
Any stories?
But, yeah.
Do you have any stories?
Well, so there's that Wiener, Arkansas story. That was one of them. And while we were, the tours weren't that crazy because we were trying to get to the next spot. We had like hours to drive, you know, and we were all just broke and tired. So there wasn't anything too crazy that happened on those tours, just because we didn't have a label or anything. We were driving in my Expedition with a U-Haul trailer, 5 dudes crammed into a fucking SUV going across country, and there wasn't anything too, I don't know, nothing like rock star crazy that happened that I would know of.
No crazy stories, huh? No strippers or anything. No staying out late and seeing some weird, questionable people do some weird, questionable things.
We did have a guy that we met. It was like in a Walmart parking lot. We were trying to fall asleep in a Walmart parking lot, and this guy came up and was like trying to sell us artwork. It was actually pretty good artwork, but he was definitely like on ecstasy or something. Like his eyes were huge, and we told him that we were in a band, and he was like, "Dude, that's the coolest fucking thing ever." And he was like trying to get us to be our merch guy or something. And one thing I will say, so we played at this place in Kansas City called Jerry's Bait Shop, and it was a venue. Like, it wasn't a bait shop, it was an actual venue. But one of the things was they had this aquarium with a fish in it, and the fish was called Jerry, and it was this weird kind of fish from the Amazon that has like human teeth, like legitimate, like if you looked at the fish, it literally had like a set of human teeth, and they grew that way because I forgot the name of the fish, but they like grow up in the Amazon, and there's a certain part of the river where like nuts will fall into the river, and they had to develop these teeth to eat the nuts. And
develop
really
teeth. That sounds like evolution. We all know what happened.
Yeah.
Jesus made that fish perfect with those teeth just for those nuts. Damn it.
Yeah. Yeah. But it was really weird seeing a fish that had like front teeth, and I was like, "What the fuck? It shouldn't be like that."
Yeah, that'd be weird. Be like, "Is this fake?"
Yeah.
That's weird. All right, man.
But yeah, you know, we weren't too crazy just because we were out of high school. We were broke as shit, and we were just trying to get to the next show.
Hey, you know what? It's a cool story though, and you'll get more as you do more of this. And it sounds like your studio. This podcast one was like about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours at max. Not a whole lot of time to really talk about everything we want to, but
right.
Would you be up to coming back on again? We can talk even more about your studio and all the stuff that you have going on.
Yeah, man. I mean, this has been fun, you know, and this is my first time ever like being on a podcast or anything, and I'd love to come back if you all will have me.
Hey, so hey, you know, Marchese is a pretty big metalhead too.
Yeah.
There's bands that he and I both like that I didn't even mention here today, like Typo Negative.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Typo Negative. Black Number One, huge influence.
Mm-hmm.
Huge influence. And this is the song that puts my baby girl to sleep. Yeah. Oh yeah. That's ass-kicking music.
Oh yeah.
But it's so basic, you know? It's like, is it drop D? Is that even drop D?
I honestly don't know what they play in. I would assume drop D, somewhere around there.
Oh, man. So we got to get you back on again. But you also need to try to get on the Marchese Buller show. They do their own thing as well.
I didn't know that.
They do their own thing. And Marchese is a huge metal guy. I think he's more into Korn than I am. And he definitely is more into Korn than I am.
Right on.
Typo Negative is a huge influence for him. Oh, dude. In fact, I thought he was going to call in today. We could all shoot the shit, but it'll happen again later on. It'll happen again. Oh, dude, we got a whole fucking metal podcast and fucking jizz our pants is over fucking metal. Jesus.
I would love to do that.
Yep. That'd be great. All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you made it to this point, you might as well just subscribe and press that like button, because otherwise you just wasted your time, right?
Right.
I mean, come on. No. But Shadrick, man, it's been great talking to you, and gotta have you back on again. Talk about metal some more, even some horror. Favorite horror films, favorite horror books. We haven't even done that really. Not enough time. But we gotta get you back on. So.
Yeah, man. I'd love to be back.
Hey, man, you'll be back on again. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, y'all take it easy.
Yes. Have a good night.